Hey y'all, it's me Ryan. Welcome back to Simply Resistible Productions. This is another episode of my segment I call Things You Should Have Learned in High School. This one, kind of falls into the same line as all others, but I truly feel that accountability is key, and accountability is something that we've really lost in the educational system. And to be honest, it's not even an educational system. I think this is something that starts in the home as well. I feel like parents are just allowing their kids to just kind of freely go through life, especially in education. They don't want to admit or see their child fail, so they refuse to allow the schools to fail them. Now we've got an educational system that's not failing children and not holding people accountable, kids accountable for their actions and what they do and how hard they actually work towards graduating high school. And this is creating a bunch of people who essentially don't see or feel consequences throughout life. As someone who runs multiple businesses, I see it every day where there's people who come through those doors and they assume that they can do what they want, say what they want, essentially just run the show themselves, and that's not how the world works. Our entire lives we've been told by our parents that school is there to prepare us for the real life, and the real life is tough and all that kind of stuff. And you're right, the real world is tough. But we're not making it any easier on these people by just letting them kind of stroll through life. The fact that, you can't fail high school or school in general up until, I think last I heard it was like grade 10, is when you can start failing. And that blows my mind. I think, it's something that we should instill in our children at an early age, that no matter what it is you do, you work hard at it. Whether it is a topic or a subject that you're not familiar with, you work hard at it. And that kind of falls into the last episode, where, you need to learn how to fail. You need to understand, that this is all part of life. I feel like accountability is something that's very lacking in schools, especially in this day and age where they don't fail children and children are essentially just set up to fail in that sense. Another thing that kind of blows my mind is, from what I understand, the reason why a lot of schools don't fail students is because it costs money. And not only that, it looks bad on the school, which is incredibly frustrating, because all that's saying is that it's okay to send kids out into the world unprepared, but it's not okay for a principal or whoever it is to have a bad rep on their resume. That blows my mind, and that's something that I feel like, parents need to understand, and parents should be infuriated by this. It's mind-blowing, the kind of games that are being played in the background of something as simple as, or not necessarily simple, but something as major as the educational system. And to be honest, I don't necessarily even fully blame the schools. I feel like, I blame parents as well. Parents have a huge part in this, where they're not allowing schools to do what schools need to do in order to teach their children. Parents feel that, they have a better understanding of education than the actual educational system, which, at times I feel the educational system is maybe a little bit broken at the moment, but I do feel that, its intentions are correct, and that we need to allow the educational system to adapt to what's going on in the world today. Curriculum should be adapted every single year. I mean, life changes. We should be teaching classes on fucking pandemics and all this other stuff now. But at the end of the day, I feel like, in order for kids to get a fully rounded education, they might need to be held accountable. So this kind of does fall into play with last week's episode, and maybe that's what these episodes are going to start doing, is blending a little bit. But I think it's very important that kids are held accountable for their actions, that the educational system should be held accountable for their actions, and the parents should be held accountable for their actions as well. Sorry, parents, you're not perfect. I think sometimes you need to take a step back and allow the teachers to do what they need to do in order to teach your children properly. Those might not fall into your ethics, and if that's the case, then maybe the public or the Catholic or whatever educational system you're in, maybe that's just not for you. Maybe homeschooling is more along the lines of what you need to do. Then, if you feel you could teach your students or your children better than the teachers, and you don't want to let them do their jobs, then maybe it's time for those kids to be homeschooled. All right, and that's been another episode of Things You Should Have Learned in High School. So thank you so much for joining me. You can like, share, comment. I greatly appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram, Simply Resistible Productions, and you can find me on YouTube with Simply Resistible Productions as well. So I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon, guys. Cheers.